Good morning, world. I am Judy, your web based therapist, making therapy accessible and convenient for clients in Florida and New York, and of course, sharing information worldwide. Today, I want to talk about 5 reasons that many people don't reach their goals. We know that the New Year is coming in, and pretty soon people will start talking about New Year's resolution. And today, I want to talk about goals instead of resolutions. And I want to talk about why or reasons that many people don't reach their goals. But before I get into that, I want to take a quick moment and say if you are subscribed, thank you so very much for being a part of our wonderful world. And if you are not yet subscribed, please take a moment and click the subscribe button below so that you can become a subscriber and be a part of our wonderful world. And of course, remember to tick the bell so that you are notified when I post new videos so that you don't miss anything. And if you'd like to purchase 1 or 3 of my books, also a link below that will take you to a site that gives you all your different options of places where you could get 1 or 3 of my books. Okay, let me get back to it. First reasons that many people don't reach their goals, they didn't set a goal. A lot of times people get into this, people get ideas, hopes, and wishes that they think are goals because, hey, it is something that I would like to get. It's something I would like to have. It's something that I would like to achieve at one point. And they stay in that state of the wish, hope, or dream that the person have. They believe that to be a goal. But because I often say, or not me, I think everyone else says, goals have a timeline, they have to have measurable, and they have to be clear, and all those things. I have another video where I talk about what defines a goal. If it does not have all those things, it's not clear, it's not measurable, it's not time tested, then you don't have a goal. You have a wish that you eventually will get to. So, and eventually, of course, never comes because there was never a timeline of when this should be done or what it looks like when it's done and all those other things. So, yeah, that's one of the reasons people didn't set a goal. They had a wish and they kept that and they took that wish or mistook that wish as a goal when it was just a wish, a hope, or something that they would like to get one day, maybe, if they could get to it. The second thing is that goals can seem overwhelming. A lot of times even when the person takes the time to set a goal, it can seem overwhelming because our goals are sometimes they can be lofty, they can just be big, they can just have lots of steps that are required to get to them. And because their goals can be so overwhelming or they can seem so overwhelming, a lot of times it's easier to people get scared away. People get scared away. It's easier to kind of come up with reasons why the goal didn't happen or come up with barriers to the goal than to actually pursue it, because the barriers and the excuses even are easier than figuring out, wait, how do I eat this ginormous elephant? But again, I have other resources that I've talked about how to break goals down and how to make it seem less scary, make it seem less overwhelming, to make a goal seem a little bit more, hopefully more achievable, and eventually that you can achieve that goal. 3, they can't figure out how to start. Again, when the goal is big, we know that we always tell people, dream big, have lofty goals. But when the goal is big, sometimes it can be hard to figure out how to get started. And because people cannot figure out or have difficulty figuring out how to get started, sometimes they just don't, because they spend the whole time I often use the analogy of fixing a car, where you can't fix a whole car. You can fix parts of the car. And as you fix the different parts of the car, eventually the whole car is fixed because you fixed all the problems. So that's kind of that's always been my approach to goals. I always when I talk about objectives and figuring out what needs to come first, because once you start breaking it down, you start realizing, hey, this step needs to come before that step. So not being able to figure out how to get started is something that gets in a lot of people's way, because, hey, I'd like to do this by March, but since I have not figured out how to get started, then, January, February, and March come in and we still never did anything because we didn't know how to start. 4, they don't know about they don't know how to harness their own power. Many of us did not grow up with the most empowering mindset. Sometimes we don't know what we're capable of. Sometimes we see what other people do and we think that, or sometimes the world around us gives us this idea that, hey, they have resources that we don't. There's something about this person's life that makes this goal or their ability to achieve certain things more likely than me. But we all have we all have power within us. And in order to be able to achieve our goals, in order to be able to get the things that we want, it's important to be able to reach deep down. First, it's important to know that we have this power within us, that we have the capability, that we can do these things. And then we have to get in there, get deep down and figuring out how to harness that power, how to use this strength, this power, this energy inside of us and make that materialize into the fuel that we use to get through or to get the goals, to reach those lofty goals that we have, to do those things that we want to do. So that's another one. The last one is goals can sometimes take too long. And because of that, it's easy to abandon them. That's another reason that I often like to talk about objectives. Because if the goal is something that takes 3 months, or maybe it's something that takes 3 years, sometimes people, as they go along, they get discouraged. They lose interest. It's so easy to be excited about something at the very beginning. But once you start getting to a few weeks in or a few months in, the excitement sometimes goes away. Or sometimes the excitement, maybe it doesn't go away, but the excitement can, diminish over time. So it becomes easier to walk away from a goal because it feels like, hey, maybe if it's taking so long, it's not going to happen. But it can happen. It's just another reason that it's important to have objectives. When you have objectives, you're looking at not just this big goal that's going to happen in 3 years, but every time you reach an objective, you're seeing, hey, this piece came together. Hey, I'm that much closer. It's like, hey, the carburetor's working, the radiator's working, the AC's working. So the whole car may not be fixed, but as you're looking at each of the pieces that you fixed, then it feels a lot more doable and it also gives you another thing to be excited about. So yes, goals can sometimes take too long for some people and it makes it easier to walk away. But if you learn to break them down into objectives, it makes it easier to do. And I one of the links I have up there is for a book that I have that actually talks about in how to break things down and breaking the goal down to the simplest form so that you can actually reach them. So yeah, the link is up there. Feel free to grab 1 or 3. Okay, so let me do a quick recap. 1, many people don't reach their goals because they didn't set a goal. They had a hope, a wish, or a thought, something they wanted that they really never put into goal format. And that's why they can't reach a goal because they didn't have one. 2, another reason is that goals can seem so overwhelming that it scares people away. It keeps people from wanting to pursue them because it feels so unachievable. But again, if you learn to break your goals down to objectives and break your objectives down into action steps, then it becomes a lot more achievable. 3, people can't figure out how to start, so they never do. Again, objectives. Objectives are one of the easiest things, one of the most effective ways to reach your goals. So if you break them down into objectives, eventually you'll figure out what steps should come first. 4, they don't know about their own personal power or they don't know how to harness that power. We all have great strength and power within us. But in order for us to get the benefits of this power, we need to figure out first that it's there and learn how to harness it so that we could use it as the fuel to, fuel our goal. And finally, goals can take too long. For a lot of people, as they start going and they start losing interest and the goal seems to take too long, it's easier to walk away. But if you have objectives that you're working on and you're seeing the smaller successes along the way, eventually it keeps you excited, and it lets you know that yes, it may be taking a little bit of time, but yes, my goal is on its way. Again, there's a book, Breaking Through Infinity. That's the book that I have that really talks about doing that stuff. So if this is something that you're going to be working on, especially as the new year rolls around, you're going to be working on some goals. Definitely, I would recommend getting it. But even if you are not yet ready to get that goal, at least start considering these 5 tips as you set your goals for the coming year. As always, if you or someone you know happens to be going through something that's more than you can handle, please remember that there are professionals like myself who are available, able, and willing to help, and are even providing remote services who can assist with whatever you may have going on. So please figure out who those people are in your community so that if you need them, you can reach out and get the help that you need. And that is all we have for today. Good morning, world. Have an awesome day.